It's the Tommy Sandhu podcast, you know that, and I have got a serious giant in the British Asian scene. In fact, the global scene. We are going to be talking to the brilliant Gurinder Chadha. Now, what Gurinder has done for cinema, and particularly for the representation, if you want to call it that, of British Asians and Asians in general across cinema has been phenomenal. There is nobody like her. She's been a true friend to me in the most best possible way. She cares. She reaches out to her friends. She's very loyal. She's a fierce, strong woman. It's only right that she's directing movies and ordering big stars around. I love her to bits, and she's become a good friend over time, I'm lucky to say. And man, she's up to some mega exciting projects, which you're about to hear all about. This is the wonderful, glorious, to be celebrated and saluted Gurinder Chadha. I love the fact that when you're on camera, you did the standard ball thing, like, oh, Taja, ball ni theek. Oh, and then you pull.
It was just sound. It's a podcast.
Sorry. No, we are just sound. This is a live podcast action. It's fine. We'll stick with that. How are you? Oh, well, I should say, oh, tere master donen, mere dil ka lege chan. Oh, how good was Rahat, hey? I know you loved that.
It was so good. I mean, he was on fire.
Yeah. He. Have you seen him live before?
Oh yeah, many times.
Right.
And I've seen him live many times. And Rahat I've always found a little bit of Bollywood, but he did a lot of his Bollywood tracks, and every time the intro started, the whole of Wembley went, oh, I love this kind of thing. But he also did some lovely old Punjabi stuff and some old Qawwalis, which is what I love.
Yeah. How are you? You all right? You okay?
Yeah, very good. Yeah. I'm very happy that we're coming through the other side. I think we still have to be a bit careful, but life seems to be getting back to normal.
And what have you been doing then? So did you just, because some people just accepted lockdown and went, right, I'm going to lay low. And others went, oh, actually, I can use this to do that or change. Well, which way did you go?
Oh, I did a lot of writing. Wrote quite a few scripts. Got on with a lot of, creative stuff. And, worked on projects that I've always wanted to work on and, never had the time. So actually, for me, it was a very welcome creative break. Good. Because I was able to sort of escape into different worlds and characters, in my script writing, but also because all of Hollywood was doing the same thing. I got a lot of Paul and I got a lot of approaches about projects, couple of big Hollywood things. So that perhaps might not have happened, if everyone wasn't developing during COVID.
Don't you think like the Hollywood scene and everything going on in Hollywood kind of changes the world? It almost feels like film was leading the way in a way with Black Lives Matter and even Me Too movements and representation. And so you get an approach during lockdown. I think that's quite key, because that's them saying, hold on a minute, we gotta be a certain way here.
Yeah, I definitely think the whole industry responded to Me Too and Black Lives Matter, in a positive way. And I think people are genuinely trying to make things better, more representative. I think that in the past, there's always been a lot of lip service. And I think now there's still a bit of lip service, but I think there's also probably a bit more of a percentage of people who genuinely want to change things.
Yeah. Will it stick around? Go on. Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I think it will. I mean, the interesting thing now is when you watch telly in the UK, there are quite a lot of Asian names that come up, behind the scenes. And that never used to happen. There was that one guy, Gurdeep, who's a studio lighting director or something, right? His name used to come up. Well, I don't even know who he is. I just know, it's Gurdeep. So that one.
He used to do the big ITV shows, I think is what it was, and it was
Yeah, we always used to see his name at the back of Brits talent or something. Indian. But now, there's lots of names and lots of people behind the scenes. And also, still not enough in front of the camera, but it's getting there, I think. I mean, I would feel more comfortable now if one of my children said they want to go into acting. About 10 years, I'd go, come on down, law, accountancy, something like that.
No, you wouldn't know. I don't think in any lifetime, I don't think you as a mum, you would never do you're not a kabardar kind of type of mum, are you?
I know enough to know what a struggle acting would be as a career choice if you're Asian. It's a struggle.
But what if someone said kabardar to you? God, where would we be now? We'd be screwed. We'd have nothing. Like you're single-handedly repping the whole Asian crossover. I don't know what you want to call it. What do you call it? Are you tired of being labeled? I don't even want to call you an Asian director or Punjabi director. Or,
filmmaker.
Yeah. But why has it even got to have the tag? I just interviewed Satnam Sanghera.
Oh yeah.
Right. And so you suddenly realize, because obviously he's mega bright, knows all about empire. I know you've obviously made films on the British and what they've, the way the empire affected India. But you realize, oh my word, we are so affected by that. Even me, even now I'm conscious that me calling you a British Asian thing, I'm like, that comes from kind of empire. Oh, who are you? What box are you in? Where do we put you? That is very much empirical, isn't it?
Definitely. I mean, I've had people review my stuff and say, oh, she's a national treasure, and then I've had other people saying, oh, she's a British Asian woman, who's interested in the trials and tribulations of the Asian community in Britain, so I go from one extreme to the other.
You're the Kohinoor, because you're Desi, but you're a national treasure over here. That's it. We found the diamond. There you go. It's you. That's nice as well, though. You're a bit of both.
Yeah, absolutely. But I think you have to. The thing is, we have to be in control of these labels. That's why it's interesting. The term "desi," which came out in America, has slightly cottoned on here. Not completely, because we're not completely happy with that term. But desi vibes, desi. We're sort of getting used to it, but. It's good with that. Desi term was a way of saying, no, we don't want to be Indo-American. We're going to take control of that term. And we in Britain never quite did that, we never quite. But then our sense of history is different, to
America. And your sense, your story, you think the things that you've seen, done, and where you're at right now, do you feel, where are you? Are you feeling quite happy, content? Are you like, you know what? That's good. Or is it like, nah, man, we got shed loads more to do?
You know what? I think the lesson of lockdown was that you have to do things that bring fulfillment to you and make, you feel fulfilled. And that can be anything, to Ravi Singh and Khalsa Aid, or that could be someone at home just looking after their kids and making proper food for them. It could be any of those things. And I think that's the lesson of COVID. Be happy in what you're doing. And I think sometimes I spent a lot of my time in my career fighting this idea of race and representation and trying to challenge racism. I mean, that's what Benedict Beckham's about. That film's all about racism and challenging racism. And I think that after COVID, I just felt that I'm kind of a bit tired of that because it's someone else's agenda, And I think the great thing about lockdown was social media and how people genuinely connected on all kinds of levels with social media, and so people started to find worth for themselves in what they do. And personally, I just sat back and thought, well, what do I really want to do as opposed to what should do?
Yeah.
I have projects that I would love to do, but at the same time, there's fun projects that I'd like to do that aren't anything to do with racism, obviously,
Yeah.
but they always will be because they're coming from me and from my sort of perspective. So they'll always be very, girl power, if you like. Be
Yeah.
very strong on feminist sort of protagonists, and also race will all be part of it.
Yeah. And I also find
I saw this brilliant film the other day, and I've seen it before, and everyone knows what it is, right? When I tell you, but it probably is the best film about racism and prejudice that has been made in Britain for a long time, and that's Paddington. Paddington,
the bear.
the bear. What a smart movie that is! You go back and look at that.
Okay.
Because he's an immigrant from Peru, and he doesn't belong. And people say, you don't belong. You're not part of us. You're not part of this family, says Hugh Bonneville. You don't belong here. You shouldn't be here, says Hugh Bonneville, and the rest of the family are going, but why? And all the way through, they have these interludes with this Caribbean band, who were singing all those London, da, 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 London, all that calypso stuff. So this band kept popping up everywhere, singing songs. And initially you're like, what's that about? And it was so clever the way they made that link, to racism, basically. And then right at the end, Paddington is saved because Hugh Bonneville stands up and says to the baddie, Nicole Kidman, you can't have the bear. Why? Because he belongs to us. He's our family. He's part of our family, and he belongs with us. And so smart. Great film.
Okay, but straight away, I'm now thinking it took the family to accept the bear for us to get our happy ending. The Paddington should be going, nah, you know what? I'm me. Whether you accept me or not, I don't care. I'm going to take my furry ass around London. Do you see? But it's still conditional. We're still that whole accept. So we can read into the kind of representation, how it's all done. And that's the other thing. It's everyone else's own take. And I think coming back to the lockdown thing, I went through lockdown sort of, and also, post all my job stuff, and thinking exactly what you said. What do you want to do? What is it about? Where is it going? You said to me, you know what? You got to meditate. You got to chill. Yeah. You got to quiet the mind to find it. And actually, I gave up booze, did a bit of yoga, started running a lot more. So it's been like nearly 2 years. Punjabi, not drinking. Hello, that's a big deal. And then and it does. It gives you clarity. And I realized this is what I want to do. I want to talk to people. I want to hear the stories, and I want to hear the minds of what I regard as clever people that I respect. So when you're there and you're in lockdown, because obviously I'm going to assume that Gurinder Chadha is just sitting there kind of going, oh, we could do this film idea and that film idea. But do you ever kind of go, you know what I'd really like to do? My own brand of samosa. I don't know, or whatever. What was the other idea that you got? The silly lockdown idea.
Oh, I did have one of those.
Go on.
Or I did, but I can't share it with you because it's such a good idea, and I don't want anyone to.
Okay. See, but you're never going to do it because you're writing scripts.
Well, no, I talked to a guy about it. I talked to one of the founders of Leon about it, and he was quite excited. He said, "Oh, this is good." And then they sold their company for 100 million, and he got busy, doing all that. But it's still there. It's still a good idea. I still want to do it. So I did have one of those, but I'm always having those crazy ideas of doing other things, So I'm always looking for, entrepreneurs who, want to sort of partner with me on some of these interesting ideas I have. Two in particular are very good. One's food related.
Yep.
It's child related. They're both really good ideas, and I need someone to run with them basically because I don't have time.
This could have been your pitching platform, but I love the fact that you believe in it so much. It's like I need NDAs signed before I share this, Tommy. It's that good. That's so funny because I've got a food idea and I'm not going to tell you about it either. But mine's already in production. I've copyrighted the name. We've patented it. We're sending the food off to the Nutritics laboratory, which does the shelf life testing and all that. So I'm getting it ready. So yeah, don't worry, GC. I'll see you in Leon. Is where I'll see you.
Is it samosa based? Is it samosa based?
No, it's not samosa based. Not everything is samosa based. God,
exactly. That's cool.
No.
Your people backing you.
Yeah, I've got a production company to help me make it to scale it up. But what we want to do is just sell it online, small time, and then see how that goes. But the plan is to have a little path for it as well. You know, like to kind of go, and then it rolls onto that, then it rolls there, and that's where you can find it. And it's exciting though. But this is what lockdown can do: free you up to. We are creators. This is how our mind goes. You must have 100 ideas a day. Do you not? You not got? What's your notepad like? What's your phone like? Is it just filled with notes?
Yeah, I have a lot of ideas all the time. But what I do is, what lockdown has taught me is to just don't activate all of them. The ones that don't have legs and are going to be hard to set up, forget about it. Focus on the big ones. Focus on the commercial ones. Focus on projects that are going to have most impact globally. And part of that is about being commercial, you know, because a lot of people write to me and say, oh, I've got a story. My story is really sad. I was married at 18 and my mother-in-law was horrible. And, you know, and there's all those kind of, you know, because people see me as that person to tell those stories. But I've done that. You know, I did that with Bargee on the Beach. And, you know, and so I kind of want to do different things, you know. So, yeah, I can't do everything. But, you know, I really hope that this whole new way of everyone streaming, you know, allows lots of new voices and lots of new people to come forward, because this is a great time. People need content right now, you know.
Exactly, which is why we've started this. You're in our early stages of this podcast. We want to go daily, have chats with people like yourself, and also you know, it's the lockdown. I don't know if it's lockdown of COVID or other stuff, or just life. The age I'm at, mid-40s now. You sort of start realizing, you know, everyone talks about mental health and all this stuff. You think, you know what? Everyone's got it. Everyone's got it. The whiskey bottles on the table for the uncles throughout the 80s because they had mental health issues. The mums go down the suit shop, the video shop, which, well, our local suit shop was the video shop. The Indian Bollywood shop, and where my mum gets the suit material from. And they'd have a chat there for half an hour. I remember standing in those shops for ages next to your mum, just, you know, with all the rolls and material while they're chitter-chatting. Why? For their own blooming mental health. So it's just funny that we're giving it all the labels now. But don't you have days? Because I think you're so brilliant in the way that you've got this force. Look, when I lost my job, you called me in. I've said that before on the podcast as well. You called me in. You've got time. You seem to have time for everyone and ideas and people. And you must be surrounded by loads of people. You and Paul as well. So can't you just feel like I can't be asked? Is it like ever just a day you think I just want to? I can't be bothered with anyone.
You know what? I do, and I pick and choose. Like, you know, I felt that you had been badly treated, which is why I reached out to you, particularly at that time. And then there are other people too. You know, I reached out to Damien Lewis, you know, when he wrote such a beautiful letter to his wife, and few other people, you know, in the public eye. So I do reach out to people when they're having a hard time, because I feel that's the time people need to hear that you're there. And I don't do this English thing where I just hold back. So if I feel someone's in need, I do sort of reach out, and I do that on Twitter as well. Actually, you know, I do that on Twitter when someone says I'm having a really hard day and blah 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 blah, and then I'll reach out. But I think that generally speaking, I do get asked to do lots of things, and I cannot be bothered to do a lot of those. So I either don't respond, or I get Paul to respond.
Yeah,
so I'm not a saint and I'm not an angel.
No, but in that sense, this, you know, on the mental health well-being thing, that's where you got to protect yourself and go, look, you know, it's that I'd say the same example all the time. You know, the putting on your own seatbelt before your child's when a plane's going down. Like, it makes no sense. Why would I want to protect myself over my child? But it's that if you ain't strong, what good is anyone else? You know, so I think that's where you got to buckle up yourself and kind of, you know,
I think you've got to have a very good idea of what you can and can't do, and what you're capable of and not capable of. And that's one thing that I'm very good at, is I can say, I'm not going to do that. I might do that, but I'm not going to do that. So I'm very clear. So when projects come my way or people come my way, I'm very clear about saying, no, I'm not going to work with that person, or no, I don't want to do that. And I think sometimes people get upset by it. Um, you know, and but you know, there's nothing I can do. Yeah,
No.
it's how it is. And same with people who say they want to be actors. You know, a lot of people contact me and say they want to be actors. And my attitude is, well, I always work with casting directors, you know, and I work with experienced actors. So you get yourself a caster, you get yourself an agent, get yourself a reel, and then when I do something, you know, we can, you know, we'll be sure to check who's out there, kind of thing.
But again, on that note, and I'm going to talk about new projects coming up in a sec, but the momentum that's required, you know, I feel like the bicycle wheel, that first turn, it's tiring to get ideas going and get people involved and funding and casting and you know, it's like you're building a mansion every time. And I know a little bit about what goes into production, but I just know it's so much, and there's so much going on. And you build this thing, and then you set this lovely building out there, and you release it to the public, and then you're going to go, right, I'm going to go for a bit, and then I'm going to come back and do that all again. That I mean, you've only got so many of those, surely, as a human being, before you're like, I'm done.
Yeah. Well, what you've got to do is you've just got to do the things that you enjoy doing. So with me, the projects that I'm working on are all projects that I think are terrific. Generally, I mean, I got into filmmaking because I wanted to see films on the screen that no one was making, and people like me. Why I became a filmmaker, and that's what Bargee on the Beach was about, you know. And then Beckham and Bride and Prejudice and Viceroy's House, you know, my partition film. So I just basically started thinking, oh I'd like to see a film about this. This is what I'd like to do. So that's generally what I've been doing. And don't forget, there's a lot of films that I've written that have never seen the light of day, you know, and that happens a lot in our business. And often my issue is no one will actually tell me this, that they'll be like, you know, you're there, it's too Asian, basically. Everything I do, people say it was too Asian and it will never work. And then I go, well, actually it does. And then you do it and then it works. And they go, oh yeah, it works. So I have that all the time as well, which is a bit tiring. But the thing is, ultimately, what you can't do is take away the joy. What you do from the moment you wake up to the moment you go to bed, that should be joyful. Whatever your job is, it should be bringing you joy, fulfillment, and making you feel good. And if it doesn't do those things, you're doing the wrong thing.
And then what? What would you? Because some people. I was just going to say, someone's going to be listening to this and go, "Well, it's easy for Gurinder Chadha to say, big filmmaker, rah rah rah." But you know, I'm at home, whatever. I think you got to steal the joy. My theory is you got to almost find the joy, hang on to it, fight for it, because there's a natural negative force out there as well, trying to go, yeah, like you say, the people saying it's not going to work, it's too Asian, it's too niche. Tommy, a podcast, well, who are you going to talk to? What are you going to do that's no one else is already doing? All of that is always out there.
Yeah, but life is hard. Life is a struggle. Life is always, I mean, you know, I'm definitely not an overnight success. I mean, I've had to work hard for a long time, and I still get people saying, oh, it's too Asian, it'll never work. You know what I mean? So even though I've proved it time and time again, you know, but I think that that's just the world that I inhabit. That's my industry. That's how my industry thinks. And so what am I going to do? Stand up and go bitter about it? And go, no, I'm going to go, well, you're all bloody assholes, and I'll prove you wrong. And meanwhile, I'll go and do this because I want to do this. So you have to take care of yourself. And I used to be the person who would stand up and fight. You know, and now I do still stand up and fight, but I do it differently. I don't do it in a way that takes away from me and my strength. And I think that's the difference now, is to is to find joy in your daily life and make sure you feel good about your whatever you're doing, you know. And if you hate going to work, you have to change it. You have to change your job because life's too short.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's a question of choosing the projects that I want as opposed to ones that make sense to do, you know.
Yeah.
Like, so I have lots of different tiers of projects. You know, I have big commercial projects that I have on my slate, and I have smaller, you know, more Asian type, you know, project. And then I have um, reasons for wanting to do certain things, you know, like, so I have a bit of everything.
Which is a nice spot to be in. And actually, on that note, you're going to be working very hard, man, aren't you? Going to be working very hard, man.
Well, you know, that's relative, isn't it? Like the writing, I don't find hard. Writing, I find very, very enjoyable. The hardest thing in my job is the actual shooting, the setting it up in the first place and dealing with all the rejections. And then it's the actual shooting. Because when you're shooting, it's like, it's first 2 weeks are fine. And then you're just knackered after that. And you never not knackered for the whole length of the shoot, you know, and you're like a hamster. So what was nice about lockdown was being able to get off that hamster wheel for a bit, you know. But shooting is the hard bit.
And then when you wrap, are you ill? Are you like ill for 2 weeks or something like that? Because your body just kind of catches up.
Everyone gets ill, at wrap. Yeah. Everyone gets colds and flu and all the rest of it. But again, you just have to pace yourself, you know. Got to pace yourself and work with people who you really admire and inspire you.
That's always nice. And you're actually when I was said about you working really hard, man, that was me trying to connect to Aardman, the animation. I was trying to be 10. So what's going on with that? What's happening? What are these future projects? Because this is different.
Well, some I can tell you about. So the Aardman one that's been announced, and that is a beautiful story about an elephant, an Indian elephant in Kerala. Who really, really wants to be a dancer. And elephants, of course, don't dance. So while all the other elephants are all
you can't say that. You can't say, you're going to upset all the elephants. Sorry, I'm not having that. Like,
well, if you go to the jungle, you'll find that most elephants are not very light on their feet.
Okay, all right, I'll give you that.
They're a bit like plod, plod, plod. Whereas our elephant goes, he's got natural rhythm, you know, but all his parents are trying, you know, his parents and herd are trying to drum it out of him and saying, no, you can't be like that. You can't do that. You know, that's not how elephants are. And so it's an underdog story. And Aardman approached us actually. So we really want to do this with you. And I brought A.R. Rahman on. And so it's going to be like a really lovely, big, Bollywoody-esque animation. Paul and I have written the storyline and we're writing the script. And I'm co-directing it with another animation person who called Adam Coots, who knows everything about animation. And so that's very exciting. So that'll be a lovely one.
And how different is that? I mean, in terms of tapping up your skill base, you're like, yeah, you can point a camera, you know, instruct a actor for the scene. But here, this is your first animation, right? I'm trying to think what. Yeah.
No, actually, I had been working for a long time on an animation at DreamWorks called The Monkeys of Mumbai. That was a lovely project that Paul and I wrote the script for, and Jeffrey Katzenberg greenlit it. But I wasn't directing that, and someone else was directing that. But we worked with AR on that and Stephen Schwartz, and so we made some good relationships there. And in the end, it became one of the projects that DreamWorks let go when they, you know, when they kind of looked. There was a period where they let go of a lot of projects, and this became one of them. So I had been working on that before, but it never saw the light of day. But this one, I'm determined it will see the light of day, and I'm much more on top of all the things that, you know, didn't work in the DreamWorks one here. So that's exciting.
And it's just on the lighter day thing, just because so many things, particularly with my world and work, and I'm sure many others out there who are pitching stuff, ideas in their own way, whatever it might be something to Leon, or it might be a film script or whatever. But when things don't come about, how are you with that? How could you like, oh man, we spent all that time, effort, money, energy, and didn't even see the light of day?
Well, it's upsetting. It's upsetting.
Right.
You get upset for a few days, you're upset, and you go, God. But my attitude is always that they're making a big mistake. You know, I never blame myself. I always say, well, they've got it wrong and they're making a big mistake.
Yeah.
And that's kind of my attitude towards these things.
Is that a little defense mechanism, or is that more like, no, I am sure they're making a mistake?
It's not a defense mechanism, it's the truth. They are making a mistake.
Okay, I'm not going to mess it up. But I'm excited for this. I'm excited for this project, the Aardman project. I think it's great. Quick thing, A.R. Rahman, right? I've interviewed him a few times, met him a few times. I mean, with the most respect, he's an artist in every sense of the word. And then here you have to work with him, tell him what you want. Whereas, many people are like, no, you don't tell the AR. He will tell you what he wants for your project. Which way around does that work then?
Well, the thing is, I'm a bit different. I mean, I've worked with AR, on Viceroy's house. And obviously I was working with him on the DreamWorks one. So I call him AR and everyone calls him Sir.
Or Rahman Saab. Yeah.
But I go, AR, we can't do it like that, So you just see me as different, However, I have a tremendous amount of respect for him. But what I do is push him in a different way because he's surrounded by sycophants. And then I come along and then I go, can we just push that a little bit? Maybe add a bit of Western guitar here, maybe add this here, maybe. So I give him ideas where I want to take it more to my world. And, because if it was just AR working, he would generally, use big kettle drums. He loves those. And he would do like a big, rich sound. But because he's not from Britain and doesn't have the same sensibility, what I have developed is a way of talking to musicians and talking to composers to say, well, this is kind of what I want. I'd like to have it like this, and then they respect that.
That's nice. See that, and that's but seriously, as if you don't mind me saying, that takes big tate to turn around to AR and go, I think you need a guitar here, mate. I think you need a and he's like, really? This woman, this Punjabi jumping around woman from England is telling me, but that's nice because that just shows a mutual respect. Really, I think if he takes that on board, and I've got nothing but respect and love for you. So I'm going to let you go because I know you got to crack on with your day. What have you got for the rest of the day? Where are you at? What happens in a day like today?
Well, one of my other big projects is I've just signed a big deal with Netflix, and I'm making a big female action hero movie with Netflix, and I've got a call on that in an hour and a half. With LA, so that's my big thing that I've got to get ready for now. And then,
can we say the name of that?
Not yet, no, but it'll be announced very soon. I've signed my deal. I signed it 2 weeks ago, but this was a project that came up during Netflix during lockdown. I had a fantastic call with a producer who really, really wanted to work with me. And we had a conference call and we really hit it off. And you'll note this producer is called Jeffrey Kirschenbaum. Everyone calls him Kirsch. He just produced a film that I'm sure you will have seen. It's not my cup of tea, but Fast and Furious.
Well, I didn't watch it actually because before I even got to get to the cinema, I'd received many reviews of. I mean, it got a certain.
But they're making one in London, they're making one in London.
Oh, God. Wow. Okay, right.
Jeffrey's coming to London. But anyway, right. Jeffrey's also done lots of other great things. He just did this one film on Billie Holiday. He's done he did the movies with Angelina Jolie, you know, where she flies.
Not the Maleficent, where she's
Yeah,
no,
Maleficent, yeah, Maleficent. So he's the person who had this chat with me and said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "You know what I want to do? I want to do a big fuck off action film with a woman in the lead." He said, "Oh, I think I might have something for you." And then he sent me a script, and 50% of it was fantastic, and 50% of it was rubbish. And then Paul and I sat down, and I said, "Leave it with me. Let me rework this." So we spent 3 weeks and reworked it completely, kept all the good bits of the other one, but gave it a position, gave it a point of view, and then sent it back to him. He was blown away. He gave it to one person at Netflix. We didn't even shop it around. Gave it to Netflix, and that person said, "I'm buying this. I'm making this." And so that's the deal that just got signed. And so that's what we're doing there. That's a big one.
As your brother, congratulations. That excites me. I'm looking forward to it. I want to see it. We've done a little bit of homework online. I think we know what the name of it. Can I say it and you can confirm?
Okay.
Is it Pashmina?
No.
Okay. Is Pashmina something different?
Pashmina is something different. That's a Netflix animation.
Oh, okay. Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Then we don't know that one. So you've got the Odd Man, you got Pashmina, and you got this.
And I've written a Christmas movie.
Oh,
proper British Asian Christmas movie.
Brilliant.
Much needed. I wrote that over lockdown.
Yeah. Why has that not been done? Why have we not had
it's been waiting for me to do it.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. No point. Everyone can just sit back and relax. Gurinder Chadha's got it covered. Listen, it's great. It's great catching up with you as always. Thank you so much for making the time. Go kill it. Just go keep smashing it. And I'm so proud and I love you to bits. Thank you so much, Gurinder.
You too. You go smash it too.
All
the best.
Cheers,
bye.
Man. Thank you so much. Bye-bye. Hey, before you go, have you hit subscribe to the podcast yet? Have you done that? You should. Have you also started following the Tommy Sandhu podcast on social media? That's on Instagram, on Twitter, and on Facebook as well. Do it. Do it. Because then, you know, when those annoying little notifications pop up with the random stuff that you've agreed to let into your life. Okay, delete those. Let some Tommy Sandhu joy in. You know I'm going to be talking to the good people. You know I'm going to be having some fun chats. Why not have those on a daily basis and get the notifications as well? All you got to do is hit subscribe and like and follow, and it's free. It's free. It's our favorite word. Asians love free. Say it. It's free. Oh, it feels good. Go on, do it now.